Welcome to the Single Father Podcast. I am your host, Kendall Donaker. This podcast is dedicated for anyone out there who's dealing with mental health and fatherhood. You'll hear about my struggles, my defeats, my victories, my highs, my lows, my triumphs, my tribulations, and everything in between. I like to call this a collection of journal entries into my struggle and adapting to single fatherhood. Without further ado, let's take a look inside my journal, the Single Father Podcast. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and otherwise. I am your host, Kendall Donaker, and thank you for making me a part of your day. Guys, I have a lot of really cool, exciting new things coming to the podcast. I have announced a few of those on my social media, but I want to, for my listeners, my audience, I want to share those with you as well. We're introducing a couple segments to the podcast, which is going to be really fun. One of the segments we're introducing is called Venting Sessions. And basically what that is you can have an opportunity to be a guest on my podcast. So if you want to come on the podcast and vent with me about whether it's life, relationships, mental health, fatherhood, parenting, whatever the case may be, then email me at hello@ventpack.org. And in the subject line, just type venting sessions and just, write to me what you want to vent about. And if it's appropriate, and if it's something that I feel like we would both have a fun time talking about, then I will try my best to get you on the podcast, and we'll make it happen. It'll be nice to have a few guests that will come on, and just regular old Joes who just want to vent about whatever. Like I said, if it's appropriate, and what I mean by appropriate is I'll tell you what the show is and what it's not. The show is about really just me sharing my personal experiences about fatherhood, relationships, mental health, whatever the case may be in that realm. But it's not a platform to be like Andrew Tate. So I've already, what I mean by that is I've already had a few of you email me that you were interested in being on the podcast, which I'm interested in having you on, but as long as it's within the realm of what the show's about. All right. So read in between the lines. I think I made it clear. Another segment that we're introducing on the show is going to be really fun. It's called Mailbag. What Mailbag is basically same thing. You just email me at hello@ventpack.org, and in the subject line type Mailbag, and just email me any questions that you have. If there's anything that you want to ask me, whether it's any dating tips or what color's my underwear? There'll be a few of those mailbag questions that I'll be reading at the end of the podcast. That'll be, kind of the end of the show segment where I'm reading you guys' questions and taking it from there. I feel like it'd be a really fun, engaging, communicative way where I can just share a lot of my experiences with you guys. And if you have any questions and you want to learn more about me, or you have any thing you want me to answer, I'd be more than happy to. Just go ahead and email me at hello@ventpack.org, and in the subject line type Mailbag, and I'll be answering those questions for you. Well, today is also a very special day for me as well. On top of those announcements, I have one more, and that is today's my daughter's birthday. She turns 4 years old today, and or she turned 4 years old today, and I'm really just bittersweet about it. On one hand, that's my baby, and seeing her grow up so fast is kind of breaking my heart. On the other, I'm so excited that it's our birthday, right? And unfortunately, I'm not really sharing it with her today. I saw her this morning, but I do 50-50 custody. The way our custody arrangement works is I have 1 week on, 1 week off. And then we kind of go year by year on birthdays and holidays and some shit like that. This was her mother's year to have her on her birthday, and so she's with her mom. But I celebrated with her yesterday. This morning we had a little jump on the bed, happy cupcake ice cream filled morning, which was very nice. And I got to really hype her up that it's her birthday. She turns 4 years old. It's kind of crazy when I look back at other pictures of her. It's just, wow, my baby's 4 years old. It's crazy. But so we had a great time this morning. We did. And I got her a ton of things. I'm so I spent so much money on this woman. It's kind of it's unbelievable to even think about how much money I've spent on her, including Disney. We're going to Disneyland on Tuesday. Here's the thing about that. Disneyland is almost unreasonably expensive. I'm only going for 2 days, and already those 2 days is costing me over $1,000. The hotel, the tickets itself. I mean, good Lord, it's gonna be pretty bad. Not to mention the things I'm planning on buying for her there. Everyone tells me the food's expensive, and um, my daughter is kind of like my sweet tooth, right? Anytime she, putters those eyes at me and asks me for something, I sometimes don't tell her mother, but I sometimes give in. Yikes. I mean, don't get me wrong. I rule by an iron fist, but that girl can get me sometimes to do what she wants, which is very, very bad. So, I mean, plus, she turns 4 years old. I'll do whatever that baby wants at a reasonable price. But yeah, I'm really excited. And I thought this podcast, true to form, I thought I'd give a few of my thoughts on what I've learned from my daughter so far. A couple bullet points and what I feel like I've learned from her. And most importantly, the number one thing I feel like I've learned from my daughter is humility. Um, when you're a dad, especially in the beginning, people tell you all the time to buy these books, to watch this movie, to listen to this podcast, or whatever the case may be, take parenting classes, all of it. People tell you to do it, right? And I'm one of those people who actually did it. I read a lot of the books, and I was preparing for Fatherhood. And, I think me and her mother only lasted, I think, a month and a half until we ended up breaking up, and I was doing it on my own. So I was, a quote unquote full-time dad on my own, uh, right out of the gate. And it taught me a lot of humility, because a lot of the things that, people tell you you should be doing as a parent, a lot of them are true, but what you come to find out is you do it at your own pace. You do what you do. It's kind of like you fly at the seat of your drum. You have a plan, and you have an organized function in your house of how you want things to be done and how you want the rules to be set. But overall, I think you just kind of wing it. And I'm sure um, I share sentiments with people out there, but I feel like when you're a parent, you kind of just wing it. I didn't have everything figured out, especially when my plans on how to parent kind of fell through the cracks when her mother and I broke up. Suddenly, I'm a single father. Suddenly, her mom's not there, and I had to kind of pivot and adjust, right? And a lot of the things that I was learning about, leaning on your other parent for help and things like that, I really, for the most part, didn't have that. Especially with her mom and I's relationship was very tumultuous right off the back. It was very, very tension based. So I really had to kind of rely on myself, and it taught me a lot of humility and made me a little bit humble, and it made me kind of forgive myself for making some mistakes. You know, you you sometimes can get jaded by looking on Instagram and seeing these perfect families. But what you realize is, sometimes it sounds weird, but sometimes I'll look at like a family and they post it on Instagram, and I'm like, I wonder how many takes that took. I wonder how many times they screamed at each other to make them smile. And maybe it's none, but and I don't know. I feel like you kind of just wing it as a parent, right? Because sometimes Layla frustrates me. Sometimes I want to cry. Sometimes she cries. Sometimes we cry together. Sometimes she's mad. Sometimes I'm mad. Sometimes we're mad at each other. So, and at the end of the day, you're kind of just figuring it out. And it's kind of like a sitcom show with me and her. It's like, you know, father and daughter just figuring it out. I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's me and her figuring out how to communicate with each other, how to love each other, how to bond with each other, and that's really it. And it taught me a lot of humility, because here I am thinking that I'm the going to be the best dad in the world, and although I do think I am, I think you can kind of get humbled a little bit by saying, "Hey, I'm allowed to make mistakes. Accidents will happen. Mistakes will be made. Um, I won't get everything right, but as long as I try my best, I think she'll be okay." So, yeah, it taught me a lot of humility, you know, especially on the times where, where I yell at her about something and I see a look on her face, and I have to catch myself and say, I didn't do that right, did I, Layla? And whether she knows what I'm talking about or not, she looks at me and says, no, you didn't. And I said, okay, let's start over. I'm sorry. What are you trying to tell me? I will listen to you right now. And I think that brings me to the next thing that she taught me is like patience, being patient. Um, it it's hard to kind of explain whether I'm a patient person or not. In fact, I think I just figured it out. I'm not. When I get my mind on something, I need it done right then, right now, no matter what. I'm not very patient. I it's almost like I don't tolerate it for myself, you know? Like I'll yell at myself for being patient, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Get up, get shit done. True to form, this is actually a true story, and it happened to me just today. I bought these lights for my TV. And I like they connect in with the sound on your TV. I thought it'd be really amazing. So I bought these lights. I go to set them up. Come to find out, it needed like a hub. Like it needed like a device hub that actually connects with the lights before they even work. So I'm like, shit, man, I'm really hungry. I guess I gotta eat real quick, but I'm like, no, 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 man, I'm impatient. You gotta go get that hub right now. So I'm like, okay, fuck. So I go out, get in my car, buy the hub, come back home, and I set it all up, and they're like, oh, well, no, 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 no. The hub was just to set up the lights. If you want it synced with your TV, you need a whole different fucking thing. And I'm like, bro, I'm fucking hungry, man. I just want to sit down and eat. I just want to relax for a second. Like, I don't have to do this right now. But that little impatient voice came in my head and said, no, 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 you got to do it right fucking now. So I go out, drive 20 minutes, buy the box, come back home. And I think I didn't eat for like 2 more hours until I set up all that and made sure it was all to my liking. And finally, 2, 3 hours later, I sat down to eat, starving, literally about to pass out. But that's how impatient I am. I cannot stop until the job is done. So I'm an impatient person. And the one thing that my daughter taught me that was really important is patience. This podcast is sponsored by Keys AI. Guys, if you're single or struggling with dating, I think you're going to be very interested in what I have to say next. If you've ever used a dating app, you know that they're a huge pain. But what if I told you that there was a virtual wingman that worked on every dating app? That's exactly what the guys over at Keys AI have built.
Keys AI is your virtual wingman that suggests exactly what to say to land your next match. I've used Keys AI on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, and let me tell you, it is an absolute game changer. I won't even use dating apps without it now. If you want to start getting more dates immediately, then download Keys AI for free at thekeys.ai or search Keys AI in the App Store. Guys, what are you waiting for? Download this app today.
I have to be really patient with her, especially in the beginning when she's a baby. Look, you're an adult, right? So you think communicating with someone that they just get it. And obviously a baby doesn't get it. But you're like, "Come on, get it, right? Come on, sit up. Come on, walk. No, it's dada. Come on, say dada." You know what I mean? You get a little impatient, and when they get older, it kind of gets worse too because they don't know better. Like, "Hey, I told you for the last time, don't run in the street. I told you, quit mad dogging people." I told you no, like, or it's kind of like that, that one, famous meme out there. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? As they get older, your kids can really fucking test your patience. But you have to stay cool, calm, and collected because you know what? They're learning, they're growing, and it's your responsibility to kind of set the tone in the you're the leader of the pack, right? They follow what you do. It's true. The kids are sponges. They absorb everything you do. And if you think that just because they're so young that they're not, comprehending what you're putting out there, it's so wrong. They're picking up everything, and even if they don't remember what, they're what it's like to be 4 years old, little traces and reminiscences of kind of what you've put out into the ether around them will always be a part of them as they grow up. Now that is a very scary and daunting thought. You're like, well, anything I do, I could ruin my kid, right? But if you stay patient and you set the tone for your house, that really matters. Because anytime my daughter really tests my patience, I try to just communicate with her and say, "Layla, what's going on? Why are you having a bad attitude right now?" Or I try to really communicate. I try to never snap on her, and because I never want her to feel like afraid, or she can't tell me something, or to feel like she did something wrong when she's just asking a simple question. Because my daughter, let me tell you something, she is the type of woman where she won't stop until you give her an answer. She'll be like, "Dada, that was cool, right? Right? Right?" And I'm fucking working. And like to any parent, that when your kid talks, sometimes they're just in the background. It's just like background noise. But my daughter, she won't fucking stop. She'll say, "Right, right, right, right." And it'll get louder and more aggressive. And she'll say, "Right." And then I'll turn around and be like, "Whoa, what the fuck? What? Right? Damn it." But you can't, and that was one of the things I had to take a step back on is I'm like, look, you can't let her break your patience. Like, you have to be patient with her. She's just a little angel just trying to get your attention or saying something's cool. I mean, because think about it. How rude is it? Or how terrible is it if she's just showing you a picture and she's like, "Look at it, look at it," and everyone's busy, right? You look at it. But if I just turn around and snap at her, it's gonna make her feel so awful. So I try to always keep my patience. And that's the one thing that I feel like she's made me truly better on, is because I am not a patient person. But when you have a kid, you just have to be. You have to be. You have to be patient with your child because, like I said, you set the tone, you know? I want her to think of this house as like a safe space, a safe environment. She's not afraid to ask a question. She's not afraid to tell me something. She's not scared of whether dad will snap at her for something that she just wants to show me. And as irritating as she may be sometimes, and I'm not afraid to tell you, my daughter can really test my limit. I guess test my patience. um, I'm gonna tell you what, 4 years old, everyone says terrible twos are bad, terrible threes, and yeah, it was. Now that she's getting close to 4, I feel like she's really starting to give me some fucking attitude. I really do mean it. I mean, she can really tell you off, you know? And my daughter, she's the type of person who's kind of interesting too. Like, she'll be super lovey dovey towards you, right? But then we'll be in bed together and she'll be like, Dad, I love you. And I'll be like, I love you too. Come cuddle me. And she'll be like, no, don't touch me. And she only does that when she's super tired. When my daughter's tired, she does not like to be touched. She doesn't like to be spoken to. She just wants to play on her iPad and be left alone. The weird thing is she won't leave me alone. I'll leave the room and she's like, Dada, come here. Where are you going? I don't want you to leave. I'm like, okay, baby, I love you. She's like, don't talk to me though. I'm on my iPad. And it makes me kind of afraid of her. No, I mean, look, my daughter is growing up to be a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful woman, and I need to be patient with her and respect her boundaries. And I think that's another thing I've been trying to learn, having a daughter as well, is respect. Another thing that she's taught me is respect. Um, when you have a daughter, well, I can speak for myself. When I had my daughter, my respect for women went up. It just did. It's not like I had a low respect for women, not at all, but it went up to a whole new level because that's my girl, right? I now I'm all about girl power to the max. I won't let anything happen to my girl. I saw a TV show just recently that said this mother was yelling at her daughter as she went to college, and she's like, "Hey, babe, just make sure to think of everyone as a serial killer until they prove you otherwise." And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how I want my daughter to pitch everyone. And it sounds bad, but I'm like, I'm so protective of my little girl. And it's like, as she grows up, how do I protect her while still respecting her space and her boundaries and her wishes and things like that? You know, because when you're young, you think that you know everything. You think that you got it all together. But what you come to find out as you get older is, fuck, my mom was right. Fuck, my dad was right. You know, all those things that they've been trying to preach to me all of these years, they were fucking right. You know, they were just trying to keep me safe. They weren't really disrespecting me. They were trying to keep me safe. And I think that's one of the things that my daughter has and continues to teach me is respect. Respect for her mom, mostly. Because my daughter, I mean, right now, she's 4 years old, to do what I say. I think the more respect part comes for her mom. And look, I have another episode coming up about how I've been dealing with these imageries and flashbacks of kind of the past. But when it comes to her mother, I mean, she just had another baby. You can check out my previous episode called My Baby Mama Had a Baby. But she just had a baby. Now my daughter has a new sister. And I have to respect that, you know. One thing that I could have easily slipped into but didn't was, you know, oh, what is your mom saying over there? Oh, I don't like what your mom does, or me and your mom doesn't. Just bad mouthing her mom, you know what I mean? Or making her feel bad to have even a sister. Like, there's so many things that you think in your head that you want to say, but it's out of respect for her, myself, and her mother that I have to bite my tongue. And you may think to yourself, well, why the fuck do you have to respect her mom? Well, because that's her mom. And it's still the mother of my child. And as much as her and I don't get along, I have to respect the fact that that is her mom. So she had a new baby. All right? It's weird, but it has nothing to do with me. And you know what? That's her sister, and I respect that. So anytime that she wants to come to my house and tell me about new experiences with her sister, even though I don't really like hearing about it, I will sit there and listen to every single word because I respect her. And when her mom asks me for something, I will try my best to do it with a smile because I respect my daughter. And therefore, I have to respect her mother. And listen, it's very hard. And I know some of you are thinking, respecting someone shouldn't be hard. Well, I want you to think about, and I say this a lot, but think about an ex that you had in your life and think about how happy you are to never have them in your life again and how grateful you are that you never have to speak with them. I'm not saying anything rude here or that hasn't already been said, but being in a situation like mine is a little surreal because I have an ex that mutually we rather never speak to each other again and yet have to because we have now a 4-year-old daughter. And now I'm being left with all of these boundaries and these um, limitations and these new experiences and these different circumstances that are being brought into my life. Change. Each and every year is subject to change. Whether it's change of my daughter getting older and being more intuitive with her words, her feelings, her actions, or whether it's change in regard to her life that's outside of my house. Her mother, her mom's boyfriend, her new sister. There's a lot of change that I have to adapt to, but I must stay respectful. And the main reason why is, I mean, how many of you out there who have parents who badmouth each other and it makes you feel distant, it makes you push away, it makes you kind of disgusted a little bit because those are both your parents and you love them each other, right? You don't want to hear that shit. And I guarantee if I was the person bad mouthing her mom all the time, it just, I feel like I'd be doing my daughter a very big disrespect by doing that. Does that make sense? It's hard for me to kind of put my feelings into words because it is kind of all jumbled together. It is kind of confusing. It is kind of hard and weird and new and different and I guess I'm just figuring it out with you guys. But I have enough respect for my daughter to respect her mother. The other thing that my daughter really taught me is just simplicity, to enjoy the simple things. When staying on topic, kind of, is like when her mother and I broke up, I almost felt that it was kind of a competition, kind of fighting for our daughter's love. Whose house is she going to want to be at more? Whose house is she going to enjoy more? Who does she want to be with more? Um, is she happier with me? Do I have to have the bigger house? I have to make more money. I have to impress my daughter every time she's over my house. And I started to do that. I started to shower my daughter with gifts. I started to take her. Every time I had my daughter, we'd have to go somewhere. We'd go back to back to a park or an indoor playground or something. So it had to be something. I'd have to give my daughter something just to prove that I'm worthy of being her dad. Like, still love me, baby. Please love me. It wasn't until my daughter came home to my house. Like, I just picked her up from her mom's house. She comes over. The first thing she says to me when she gets in the house is, "What did you get me?" And it threw me off the way she said it. I mean, she didn't say it like in a rude, like, she said it how she said it. She said how a kid would say it. "What did you get me?" all excited. So I called my nana, who's like my mom, and I told her about it, and she's like, "Well, you kind of did it to yourself. You're overcompensating because of your guilt for you guys not being together, but I think it's only going to make your daughter spoiled, right?" And at the time, she was already an only child, so I'm like, "How does this look?" And she said, "My nana told me just stay at home. Why do you guys need to go somewhere all the time? Stay at home, draw, color, watch a movie. I guarantee she'd like that just as much as going anywhere else." And you know what? I bet you she even wants to stay home. Going out all the time, I bet she doesn't even like that. Stay home, enjoy the simple things, grab a beer, she grabs some ice cream. That's it. And you know what? I tried that. I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, ooh, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta get out of the house. I gotta take her somewhere. She's bored. She's probably just bored out of her mind. But you know what we ended up doing? We ended up doing exactly what she suggested. I brought out some crayons. We colored and we laughed and um, we had a great time just being at home, just hanging out. Both of us on the couch, just chilling, going on a walk together, walking the dog, just me and her. And that brought up, I think, a new bonding relationship between me and her because it wasn't just me and her going somewhere. It was just me and her side by side, watching a movie, coloring, playing, me being forced to play Barbies and her telling me that I'm doing it wrong. you know, I think that type of dynamic that we had with each other just worked better than going out somewhere all the time. I think that we had a great time together and we continue to do that. And every once in a while, do I take her out somewhere nice and do this, do that? Yeah, I do every once in a while. But now, hey, this is home. This is home. We're just comfortable being home. We're just comfortable just hanging out. And she's like my little partner in crime now. I take everywhere. Every time I go to a barber, she sits there on her iPad and I get my hair cut. I've learned to pivot. And not everything has to be um I thought, the only downside about having her on my weeks, just me alone, is I wouldn't be able to get anything done. But then I just started taking her with me like she was my sidekick. And then it worked. It's just me and her. I enjoy the simple things now. I don't worry. I don't overstress. I I'm good. I'm very happy with what me and her have together. It's just simple. It's just me and my little girl. So to anyone who feels like they need to overcompensate or do something for the kid all the time just to make them happy, nah. Have you even tried just staying at home, relaxing? Yeah, they might get a little stir crazy. Go on a walk. Not everything needs to be extravagant or exciting. My daughter is just as comfortable um putting makeup on my toes or my face than she would be at a park. I can guarantee you that. Being a dad, I think it's just about enjoying the simple things with the people you love. The other thing that my daughter taught me, is to listen. Sometimes my daughter just wants to be heard. Like earlier when I told you that my daughter was just saying dada 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 dada. Look at this, look at this, look at this, and I wasn't paying attention. The only reason she gets so upset is because I wasn't listening to her. And there are times that my daughter needs to learn, hey, wait your turn. I am working. I am talking. You need to be patient, right? But I think another thing that I learned with her is just to listen to her. There are multiple times as a toddler, you'll find that your kid can get really frustrated and they're unable to really communicate their words. So they kind of communicate it with crying or um, acting out or just kind of bad behavior. And what I learned to fix that is every time she's crying or upset, I'll say, before you cry, before you get upset, talk to me first. Talk to me before you get upset. And she'll say, okay, okay. But she'll talk to me. I'll say, Layla, what's wrong? And sometimes, in fact, most of the time, she'll say, I don't know. And I have to, and again, that goes back to patience. Instead of saying, tell me what the fuck is wrong, I'll have to say, okay, is it, are your feelings hurt? I'll go through a list with her. Tell me what's wrong. Before you get upset, talk to me. Tell me what's wrong. Like I said, that goes back to being patient. And I'll just sit there and I'll listen. And eventually, I'll get the truth. You hurt my feelings because you told me that I have to go to the doctor, blah, 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 or something like that, It's always something so meaningless and silly. And I'll talk to her about it. Say, hey, I understand you're upset, but here's why I told you to do that, you know? And that can get a little, when you're in a pinch, it can get a little much when you're a parent, when you have to sit there and explain with your child, you know? Because at the end of the day, you're the boss and you just like, what the fuck? Do what I say, you know? But I feel like, I feel like it would really work for you if you just communicate with your kid and just find out why they're upset instead of just accepting that they are upset. What's bothering you? Talk to me. And that's always what I tell my daughter. Talk to me before you get upset. Another thing that she taught me is laughter. Oh my God. When I'm, when me and her have our moments together where we get a little frustrated, mostly just her, I think the biggest thing that my daughter loves and to get her out of any mood is just by laughing. I can get that girl out of any bad mood if I just make her laugh. Maybe a little tickle, a little smile, whatever the case may be. It usually involves hurting myself. She loves to see me fall or say ouch or something like that. And kind of like any kid, as long as you're falling or hurting yourself in some way, physical harm to myself, she'll laugh. I have to be like a cartoon character, fall on a bouncy ball, and it's crazy. But I'll do anything to make that little girl laugh. And sometimes when it goes back to just enjoying the little things, sometimes we'll just laugh together. I'll put my phone down and for like an hour or two, and we'll just laugh and we'll play, and I'll chase her. We'll play tag and we'll dance. She loves We Don't Talk About Bruno. We'll sing that all the time, and we'll jump on the couch and I'll be a horse for her. She'll get on my back and I'll crawl around the house and hurt my knees really bad, and we'll just laugh together. And I'm laughing now because it really is just fun. It's the simple little things that just make you laugh and make you feel carefree and kind of bring that stress out of your life. I think laughter really is the best medicine. And not only is it a sure, easy way to make my girl happy, I think it's a good stress reliever to me. Sometimes we can be so corporate, we can be so caught up in our own world. And how nice is it just to put your phone down and just laugh and just enjoy little things in your life? Like playing horsey and with my daughter. Because you know what? The last thing that she taught me, and most importantly, is love. Unconditional love. That girl, I love her so fucking much. She could, there's nothing that she could do that would ever, ever make me from stop loving her. She is just everything to me. First of all, I think she's gorgeous. I think I'm biased, but I think she's so beautiful, and she's so sweet. She can really make you She can make you laugh. She can even make you cry because she's so caring, you know? And even when I was talking about earlier, sometimes even that makes me laugh. Like, we'll, uh, we'll be in bed together and she'll say, Dad, I love you so much. I'll be like, oh, come here, give me cuddles. And she's like, get off me, you know? It sounds like I'm exaggerating, but she'll really say that. But, no, she's my world. And they don't tell you that the love of your life can be your daughter. And every time I feel in my heart that I'm missing something, like I'm missing a relationship, I just look at that girl and I feel like, well, yeah, I am missing a relationship, the emptiness feeling that I feel, it's gone. She fills me with so much joy, love, laughter. I just, for any of you who've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know that I have been on a journey and a mission to really change the way people see me and perceive me and look at me. Because I often, most of the time, have been very critical in how I see myself. And sometimes it can really get to me. It can make me feel more depressed and more alone than I'm used to. And on the weeks my daughter isn't here, I would be lying if at times I didn't feel like I was absence of meaning. But when she's around me, I just feel incredible. I feel love. I feel loved. I feel joy. I feel like I have purpose. She brings life and love into my heart, into my house. And I can't thank her enough. And she helps me, you know? She helps me grow. Because all of those things I said are so true. She's taught me to be a better person. She's taught me humility. She's taught me patience. She's taught me respect. She's taught me subtlety, just to enjoy the little things. She's taught me to listen. She's taught me to love. She's taught me to laugh. She's taught me how to be a better person. And that, man, that is a good gift. So, for my daughter's birthday, the best gift that I can possibly give her is just by taking all those things I learned and just being the best dad I can be. So, those are a little bit of the things that I've learned from being a parent so far and being a girl dad. You know, I love her with all of my heart. I've learned to laugh even when I'm feeling angry. I've learned to listen even when times are tough. I've learned to enjoy the simple things even when I feel like I need to do more. I've learned to respect even when I feel disrespected. I've learned to be patient even though it goes against every bone in my body. And I've learned to be humble and have humility when I don't even think I had a lot of that in my younger days. But yeah, that's basically it. I want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to vent with you. I want to thank you guys for supporting me and being there for me and allowing me to share my experiences and open up like this. And like I said from day one, this is kind of like my own personal journal, and I'm just sharing it with you guys. Um, Now it's time for mailbag. I'm going to read off a few emails that I got from you guys. By the way, please, I forgot to say this, but in the emails, type if you want to be anonymous or not. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to list these off as anonymous. And then next time, just in the body of the email, type whether you want to be anonymous or not. So Anonymous writes, excuse me, Anonymous writes, have you ever felt like you were destined to be alone? Well, Anonymous, I have felt that. I felt that many times. Um, in fact, just recently I was having a conversation with my friend about me getting a girlfriend, and he's like, "Man, what the fuck's going on? You know, I feel like you're about to settle at this point." And yeah, sometimes it can feel like you're gonna be alone, but I mean, look, I'm only 27. Every time I feel like I'm gonna be alone, I just realize I'm young and there's still a long way to go, and I know that I will find my one. I feel like we're all living in a we're all living in a destined universe where the universe brings you closer to your destiny, and sometimes we get further away from that, and sometimes we get closer to that. And I guess I can only hope I'm closer than before. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer, just because it's just the answer is yes. I have felt that way, but we'll see what happens. I'm openly looking, and if you know anyone anonymous, send them my way. I'll even be like Young Gravy. I'll take your mother at this point. Anyways, just kidding. Next person, anonymous. How close are you with your baby mama? Not at all. We're not close. I wouldn't say we're like you know, Peter Pan and Captain Hook. We're not enemies or anything, but um, it's hard to get along, especially now that there's been a change in the environment. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna speak about that a little bit more on my next episode. Um, but yeah, we're not close. Um, yeah. All right, next one. Anonymous. What do you feel like the best thing about being a dad is? Well, I kind of really just answered that. She taught me a lot of things, and I feel like the best thing about being a dad really is just seeing a reflection of yourself in her. I see a reflection of myself, and it's kind of like the very best pieces of me, and you want that to be, you want to harness that, you want to grow it, and you want it to um, manifest in every potential it could be. I'm happy I'm a girl dad. I'll tell you that. She is just so amazing and makes me really happy. I don't know. There's something about having being a girl dad that just makes it a little bit more special. I would love a son one day. I'll tell you what, I do want another kid. Um, but gotta have a girlfriend first, so, or a wife, something. Um, would you ever adopt? Anonymous, would you ever adopt? That's kind of ironic because we're just talking about that. Would I ever adopt? Probably not. For no other reason other than it's a long process. And I feel like it's probably not. There's a lot of reasons, but maybe, but probably not. Anonymous, what do you look for in a girl? Well, so, there came a time in my life where I'll just be honest. There came a time in my life where I will I was on fuckboy status. Interested in hooking up and girls, and I mean I don't know. I grew up a lot. At this point in my life, I am open to having fun, but I really want someone who comes in my life for a reason, for a purpose, who's there to stay, um, and someone that I can rely on and build with and be a partner with and to share these experiences with. The hardest part, I'll tell you, about introducing someone in my life is I've always been a parent by myself. So having someone in my life and sharing that dynamic with someone will be very, very different for me. And that's the only thing um I don't know how that would be. But as far as dating, I mean, I'm just I just want someone in my life who has things going for them. I'll tell you what, and I don't mean to call out anyone here if this is you, but I had someone reach out to me who was super cute and we talked for a little bit, but the conversation kind of went like this. Hey, what do you do for work? Oh, I'm not really working right now. Okay. Are you in school? No, not right now. Okay. Where are you living? Kind of staying with friends and I might move back in with my mom. Not sure yet. Okay. Cool. What do you want to do for a career? Oh, I have no idea. I think I just own a business. Okay, what business? I'm not sure. Do you have any goals or ambitions at all whatsoever? You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to call anyone out if that's you, but it was so unattractive to me. It really was. I'm like, what the fuck? You don't have a job? You don't have any ambitions? There's nothing you want to do for a career? Like, I mean, fuck. I'm like, at least say the basic thing that every girl says and say an esthetician. I'm like, come on. It blew my mind. And that's the opposite of that is what I want in my life. Um, Last question, and I promise this is the first time I'm doing mailbag, so these will flow better. Uh, Anonymous, dear Kendall, I'm really happy that you were able to share about your experiences, and thank you for making everyone a little bit more comfortable about sharing mental health when they're a male. I feel like fathers don't really get to have an opportunity to have a platform where they can share experiences, but I really want to know what kind of brought you to make the podcast in the first place. In the first place, um, well, Anonymous. First of all, the next question after that is, do you know you have a lisp? Well, I'm 27 years old and I understand that I have a lisp. Yes. Um, Fuck you. uh, Anonymous, the why I started the podcast, well, it really started out as an app. I have this mental health app. You can look more in detail about that on ventpack.org in the coming soon section. But I have this app idea, and I tried to get it off, up and running, and it didn't go well. It turns out you need a ton of money to really create an app. So I kind of pivoted a little bit, and I'm like, well, what could I do to still have the same kind of vibe, but that would allow me to kind of save up for the app later. And I thought about the podcast. I thought about, well, why don't I just start a podcast about mental health, about being a single parent, and kind of sharing my experiences with relationships, etc. And having a platform and an audience for that. Not only was it really cathartic for me to kind of share a lot of my experiences, but I felt like if I could just help one person out there feel like they're not alone, like I felt for so many years, then that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to be extremely popular. It doesn't have to be number one on the charts. All I got to do is know that I'm helping some people out there, and that's good enough. And I hope that has been the case. So, yeah, that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, part of the podcast. Please like and subscribe and leave a review. If you tell me what you thought about the podcast, Today I kind of just winged it, and maybe I should be more bullet pointed. But yeah, I mean, tell me what you thought. Tell me what your thoughts are. Writing questions to me to mailbag. Again, if you want to send me a question or comment or thought, email me hello@ventpack.org and write in mailbag, and I'll answer some questions on the podcast. Please, in the body of the email, write if you want to be anonymous or not. If you want your name used, I'll use your name in the podcast. And same with venting sessions. If you want to have a venting session with me, same thing. Email me hello@ventpack.org, and in the subject line, type venting sessions, and just email me what you want to talk about, and we'll take it from there. Please like and subscribe our Facebook and Instagram pages, which are the Single Father Podcast. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Shoot me a message. Tell me what you thought. Thank you guys for allowing me to vent with you. There are more great quality content coming up, more great episodes, and more things to share with you guys about my life, mental health, relationships, and otherwise. And if you have anybody who's single, send them my way. I'm looking. Thank you very much, guys. Until next time, hope to vent with you soon. Bye-bye.